Hi, every day is a good day to show you love someone, so let's decoupage and paint some wooden hearts. My wooden heart has been painted on one side with a white acrylic paint. I find what I want in the center of my heart on the napkin, and then I work from there. So I want this larger flower to be in the center of my heart, and then I put the heart underneath, and that way I can see how all of the edges will look also. And I like the way everything is placed on this heart, so I'm going to hold onto the napkin and the heart and flip it over and outline this heart with a pencil. All of the items that I used will be in the description. Just hit the arrow down button. After I draw my heart, I'm simply going to cut this heart out, but about a ½ inch larger than what the line is at. You don't have to make it even or straight. It doesn't have to be pretty at this point, but I do leave a space between my cut line and the line that I drew around the heart. Most napkins have 3 layers. This one's very easy to separate, and I dampen my finger and put it on there, and it actually pulls up all of the layers into separate pieces. Here is my napkin. I'm going to lay it down one more time to make sure that this is the exact layout that I want. I have a little bit of room for adjustment because of the way I cut it out larger. I'm going to use matte decoupage. This tiny little bit here will do a good 3 hearts, if not more. Okay, we're only going to paint 1/2 of this heart, so I'm going to make a straight line across. I'm using a sponge, but you can use a paintbrush. Make sure that this decoupage goes all of the way to the edges and that every bit of it is covered. Here you can see how it looks when I put it on. I'm going to slide my napkin up from the bottom on the heart and make sure that it's laid out nice and smooth with no wrinkles. Some napkins tend to wrinkle more than others. This one doesn't wrinkle at all. It's really wonderful to work with. Once I get it set the way I want it, I am going to lightly press with my hands to make sure that it's laid down completely. This is just a very gentle touch. We're going to go back over it in a little bit and press it down with Saran Wrap. I made a hole in the center with the pencil. We're going to finish decoupaging the bottom part of the heart, so make sure you go all the way up to the edge where the other decoupage was ending. Get all the edges of this heart, and I simply fold this down, press from the center down. Now I'm going to get that Saran Wrap. And that's when I can add a little bit of pressure. Make sure the edges are laying down and that all of the, if there are little bumps that napkins have are in there, you can smooth them out with this process too. This is a medium sandpaper. It's about a 120 grit, but you can use anything from there and to very, very fine. Simply hit the edge of this heart going up and down, and that way it won't damage the napkin that's on the top, and it'll give you a nice clean edge. Go from the center out and add a second coat of your decoupage. It doesn't have to be a thick coat. And in about a minute, it should be dry to the touch. And you're going to go ahead and use that Saran Wrap. Make sure that everything's all nice and smooth and that the edges have been pressed down firmly. Gently peel the Saran Wrap off. And when that is dry, which will take another minute, go ahead and add some satin varnish. I don't put it on very thick, but I make sure that the whole thing is covered. This will protect the heart. If you have a little bit of paint that gets on it or something, you can clean it off with a wet Q-tip. And after this, it will no longer bubble up. So smooth out this varnish onto this napkin. When you gently lift this off, your napkin will no longer get any bubbles. Look at that nice shine. I'll be using this forest green, which has been hard for me to find in any of our stores here. So Christmas green works well. There's a lot of greens out there that you can like. You can even use the deep burgundy. That's really a pretty border on here too. It'll take 2 coats, and it's okay if you get a little edge on the top of this, because when you paint the scalloped edge, it's going to cover that up anyway. I use my hand to make sure that there's no large edges that are raised up on the top of this, because I don't want it to show through my scalloped edge that I'm going to put on. While I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and paint the back with the same color. I let that dry for a minute, and then I can flip it over. Here's a number 2 pencil. I'm going to use the eraser to make the scalloped edge. I like to use fresh paint when I'm doing these scalloped edges, and I'm going to practice a little bit on a cardstock. When you put the pencil on the heart, it's going to be halfway off the heart, so you want them to touch right in the center. They will be raised, so be careful not to touch these hearts. They will take several minutes to dry, or you can use a blow dryer to speed up the process. I always start at the very top center in the corner there. That little edge that you painted on, that helps it so that there's no gaps and you don't have to fill anything in. If there are gaps, I just lightly touch my pencil to the very edge and they go away. I'm going to go all the way around, and then I let it dry. You can see the shine there, it's still wet, and it goes on pretty thickly. So when this paint is dry, I'm going to use a dotting tool. I'm going to use the largest one in my kit. I'm going to pull out the fuchsia paint because it matches the flowers pretty well, and I'm going to go in the center of each of the scallops all the way around. I like to move the heart and keep my hand in the same position. Make sure that you re-dip your pencil and dotting tool every time you make a dot. My dot was too far down, so I erased it with a damp Q-tip, and then it was still a little bit wet, so it spread too much, so I'm cleaning it up one more time. When it's dry, I'll re-dot that. It'll be dry by the time I get to the end here. All right. And there's the finished heart. I'm going to put decoupage on my pencil, and I'm going to lay down the napkin inside of the hole. After these dots are dry, I'm going to put one more clear coat on the whole heart, front, back, and the sides. Look at that shine. Isn't that pretty? Now you can glue a bow on here, you can put bling on here, you can put little beads on it or buttons, whatever you want to do to decorate these. You could also put a little beige dot inside that pink dot, and it decorates it even more. I'll show you some samples at the end. I'm using rograine ribbon, fold it in half, slide it through the hole, pull the 2 strings through, tighten it up. I'm going to put a pretty little bead on just to add a little bit more excitement to this heart. I'll tie a knot at the top, but you want to make sure that both strands are the same length so that the knot will be at the very top and not hang off to one of the sides. I make sure it's nice and tight, and then I trim it very close. You can finish that off with a lighter if you'd like to make it smooth. Make sure that there's no fraying, but I find that they don't really fray because of the way I cut it. Here's some samples of other dotting techniques that I did on these. Here's another one done in the same fashion. These are different napkins that I've used. To get the hearts smaller, you simply dot and you don't re-dip your dotting tool, and they'll get smaller down at the point and towards the bottom. This one's all hand painted, the heart in the middle and all of the dots. And this is a small heart that I did, and I'm going to glue a magnet on the back. They turned out really pretty, and I thank you for joining me. Hit my subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.